It's the championship week, baby. Let's talk about the players I love, hate, and a couple sleepers. If you want to take home one of these, listen up. Class is in session. Quarterbacks I love, hate, and a couple sleepers. Dakota Prescott, also known as Dak, goes up against the Detroit Lions. Everybody should be starting him. If you were worried about him, you shouldn't be. The Lions are the 6th best matchup for quarterbacks. Fire up Dak. And I want to give confidence to anybody starting Brock Purdy. Yes, I know last week was ugly. But as long as he doesn't have any issues with that stinger, I think that the 49ers roll the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are terrible against the quarterback position and darn near everything else. Fire up Brock Purdy. I hate Tua Tagovailoa. It's just a bad matchup. The Baltimore Ravens made Brock Purdy look inept last week. Now they go up against Tua without Jalen Waddle. I'm just not excited about it in my championship week. There's probably better quarterbacks out there. He's also questionable with a thumb injury, but he is expected to play. Speaking of injuries, Trevor Lawrence Logza did not practice Thursday despite optimism. Trevor is dealing with a shoulder injury. I'm really not excited about putting him out there. He's been bad in back-to-back games. I'd avoid Trevor if you could. And everybody wants to sleep on my man Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield goes up against the New Orleans Saints in not a must-win, but if we win this one, we in the playoffs kind of win. So I think Baker's going to be slinging it. Definitely worth starting this week. Also, Marshawn Lattimore shouldn't be playing in this game, so Mike Evans should eat. And this next one is a desperation play, but I think you can do it. Derek Carr goes up against my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are allowing the 10th most fantasy points to the quarterback position in the last 5 weeks. That's no bueno. Derek Carr's had back-to-back games with 20 or more points. I think he's worth the play. Wide receivers I love, hate, and a couple sleepers. You're going to notice a theme. I love the 49ers this week going up against Washington. I know you're starting Deebo Samuel, but I think Brandon Ayuk could eat too. Rashee Rice had 12 targets last week. Yes, I know he only came down with 12 fantasy points, but I think he bounces back in this one. Going up against the Bengals and a must-win for the Chiefs. Fire up Rice. These next two are in the same game. Mike Evans going up against the New Orleans Saints in a win-and-get-in playoff game. Mike Evans is going to show up and show out, and there's no Marshawn Lattimore, so you know he gonna eat. And on the other side of the ball, Chris Olave, coming off a great game against the Rams, faced the Buccaneers, who are allowing a lot of points to the wide receiver position, 4th most on the year. Chris Olave should do some work. Hopefully my Bucs still win though. Wide receivers I hate. I don't see a questionable on DJ Moore's status, but he was looking banged up last week, and I'm not sure if he's gonna be 100%. Plus, he gets to go up against the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons are the 2nd best team against the wide receiver position. I'm not saying you gotta bench him, but lower your expectation. And I'm just not starting Drake London. He's too hit or miss in an offense that doesn't even really like to throw the ball, going up against the Chicago Bears, who have been pretty good against the wide receiver position. That's gonna be a hard pass for me. Nico Collins is more a love than a sleeper. It's not the best matchup against the Titans, but more importantly, if CJ Stroud plays, I'm playing Nico Collins. Now for a real sleeper, KJ Osborne. I think you could play KJ against the Green Bay Packers, who allow the 2nd most points to the wide receiver position in the last 5 weeks. Let's go. And if you're really desperate for a wide receiver, Demarcus Robinson has had a touchdown in the last 4 games. What I like most is he had 6 targets last week. That's not bad. I think you can fire him up if you're desperate. Running backs I love, hate, and a couple sleepers. Of course, you're already starting people like Rashad White and Kyron Williams. But somebody that may not be on your radar as much because he's been mid at best, DeAndre Swift. I love DeAndre Swift this week. Going up against the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are the worst team in the league against the running back position in the last 5 weeks. And on the season, they're the 2nd worst. If there was ever a time where DeAndre Swift should get it done, it's this week. I hate Tony Pollard. No, not just because I had him this year and he absolutely sank my team, but he goes up against the Detroit Lions, who are top 5 against the running back position, and Tony Pollard has already been mid. Could he fall into the end zone? Sure, so could everybody else. As for a sleeper, if Josh Jacobs does not play, Zamir White is that dude. You gotta play him. The Colts allow the 3rd most points against the running back position, and whether or not it's Josh Jacobs or Zamir White, the running back for the Las Vegas Raiders is going to eat. So if Josh Jacobs is out, start White. If Josh Jacobs plays, play Josh Jacobs. He's going to feast on this team. My last sleeper, Ty Chandler. I think that Ty Chandler had a rough week last week going up against Detroit. Detroit's a good run defense. The Green Bay Packers are not. They're the 6th worst defense in the league against the running back position. I think that he's a flex play with upside. Tight ends I love, and a sleeper. He wasn't great last week, but I'm going back to the well with Trey McBride. He had 8 targets, caught got 6 for 31, and in PPR he got you 9. But the Arizona Cardinals are going to be down against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they will need to throw the ball. Well, I'm not confident in Marquise Brown, but I am confident in Trey McBride. This kid is good, and I think he bounces back. If you have noticed a theme in this video, I am starting all 49ers players. Why? Because they got embarrassed on national TV last week. And what happens when you get embarrassed? You show out. Well, I'm not promising George Kittle gets 120 yards, but he will be in the top 5. Let's go. And Dallas Goedert played pretty well last week. In back-to-back games, he's had 9 targets. I think that he's worth the play against the Arizona Cardinals, who's the 3rd worst team against the tight end position in the last 5 weeks. I think he's worth a start. And my sleeper tight end, Gerald Everett. This dude's had 3 straight games with 8 targets. That's a lot. Can't really ask for much more than getting targeted 8 times by a tight end. Fire him up. Defenses I love, hate, and a couple sleepers. Hopefully you already listened to me and started the Browns or the Jets, who both scored a touchdown last night. But if not, here's a couple more that I like. The 49ers defense going up against the Commanders. The Commanders suck. And the 49ers defense is looking to get some get back after getting embarrassed on national TV. The Buffalo Bills going up against the New England Patriots. Need I say more? Patriots suck. I also like the Jaguars going up against the Panthers and the Broncos versus the Chargers. When in doubt, find a bad quarterback. Defenses I hate this week, the Miami Dolphins going up against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are not a team you want to play defense against. Their offense has been on fire recently. And on the other side, I'm really not excited to start Baltimore. Yes, the Baltimore defense is incredible. Could they do well? Sure. They did work against the San Francisco 49ers, so I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I would try to avoid them if I could. As for sleepers, the LA Rams going up against the Giants. The Giants have been pretty mid. I don't think they're going to have a high point total against the Rams. Of course, you got the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Indianapolis Colts. It's a solid matchup, and that defense is playing pretty well. Best defense over the last 3 weeks. And if you're desperate, you can start the Green Bay Packers. They go up against the Vikings. The Vikings have a new quarterback. TJ Hawkinson, the tight end, just got injured, so he's out. Jordan Addison's a little bit banged up. They have injuries all over the place, and Green Bay might be able to exploit that. And don't forget about that Saturday game. I got a lot more content coming your way. Stay tuned. I hope you win and take home one of these. I'm in a championship as well, and really hoping I get this dub. Winning a championship feels great. Winning it for the second time feels extra good, especially when there's some hardware that comes with it. So if you don't have a championship trophy or a belt, get your league to tighten up. Good luck in your matchups. Peace.